Oh, yeah, it's like he was great.
He has a terrific voice.
It's 20-something this year, I haven't,
Yeah, he's done it forever.
can't actually put it on here.
He is terrific.
It's neat. Does he do voices?
No, but he's got a terrific voice. David, what did you say? How are you? Good to see you. You also. How's Adam? He's good. Yeah. Is he a doctor yet, or is he on his own company yet? He does. He owns a company. He owns his own company. Yeah. It's like we're really doing well. It's astonishing. He owns a ticker company in Atlanta. Well, on the internet.
It has nothing to do with Sean. Nothing to do with Sean. It has
Yeah,
to do with that. Trees there, side picks there, and now you get Ford.
Hi, Ralph. Not too bad. Yeah, mine gets to me just my wife and family.
Ladies and gentlemen, Yosef and the Speed has
Who are
arrived.
leading my Hey, Dave and I were trying to figure out who was going to be leading. It's like looking around and speculating. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, were you watching the live stream?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we're watching.
It's a shame with the live stream, you have no idea how many people are actually on.
Well, you can see on YouTube how many
How
are.
many views?
There was like 16, I think.
Oh, okay.
Pardon me? Well, that's true.
That's true also, so you don't know, the screen doesn't necessarily mean one person, so. Yeah, it's true.
Where do you want to go, Mike?
I never met the Ralph. I'm going up. I've never met you. Joe's
Oh, very nice. Good to meet you, Joe. Yosef.
That's okay. Come here. Come to Gavin.
We need 7. Scott,
How you doing?
Oh, okay. Wonderful. That's great. Wonderful. Yeah, right. As long as you can make it. We have a routine. Right. I would think, sure. That means a lot. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's right. I grew up in Sweden. Yeah. Grew up in Sweden. Yes, indeed. Not by citizenship.
You sit where you want to sit. Believe me.
Oh, okay.
My grandfather was Romanian.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Nice to see you. Make some a soup this week? Today? Not Russian bar.
Close, it's like, what did you have from something?
Russian bar.
Hard to do is Swedish. I don't know about the food. It sounds close. Okay.
Hi, how are you?
You remember it still? That's pretty, that's impressive.
I'll give you one of these because I just,
You got it.
nice to see you.
Steel trap. Really? Oh my goodness. Not really.
Guess who's in charge of taking care of the Kansas reception?
Yes, you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow, that's incredible. That's amazing. That's really, that's a good thing. Yeah, that's a shame.
Chinese word called. Now, I want to say again. 11:30. I love your, when you spoke last week.
I appreciate it. Thank you. You've had a lot of experience.
And I thought that Mr.
Bravo, sure, yeah.
Hi, Happy New Year. Nice to see you. How have you been? How's things? Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Michael, there he is.
Welcome.
I decided Torah, that's what we decided, just.
Okay.
And, I just plug in the hand,
Okay.
I don't have any of that one.
You and me, that's fine. We'll do
Oh,
that.
I will,
At
Rick,
the end,
thank you.
right from the corner, Scotch, and let's talk about Rabbi Smith campus.
Can anybody tell me what
Sunday, Saturday night, Sunday.
It's Mincha time.
Absolutely. It's just 6:46. Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
That's where you sit?
Whichever side you want, whatever you're more comfortable.
No, I don't mind at all. I just,
be out there with
last
you.
week there was no one here. You're more than welcome.
And then
Should I speak from here?
no, and I'm gonna speak from there too.
Got it. That makes sense. Can they hear me okay for just calling out page 4? It seems
It is, but we were supposed to, Michael Sally today, and it was on the live stream last week, and this is now working to the live stream, so for sermon, we're gonna put it back.
We were just talking about that. Yeah, it's,
I love it.
okay, that's good to know.
Exactly.
I thought it seemed okay in here, but I'll just do the speaking from over there. So just announcement.
Definitely want to hear you.
Okay.
Not necessarily me, but I'm gonna use the restroom on the back.
Okay, I might get us started.
No problem getting into the hotel room.
It was fine, thank you. Thank you.
I got spot a little better.
A little bit, yeah, thank you. Yeah, Fairfield is okay, but this is not much later. Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, folks, I think we're gonna get ourselves started. Invite everyone to find a seat. We're gonna begin the service towards the very back of the Machzor.
Just in case if
Page
you wanted, it was there,
431.
but would it?
Yeah, I've got this marked.
It's marked.
Leading into Kol. Page 431.
Ashrei Yoshrei Veitecha, Odi Halucha Sela, Ashrei Ham Shadonai, Ashrei Ham Shadonai Lohav, Tilo David. Tilado no yadaber pi, vivorech kol basor shem kodsho leolam voed, va'anachnu nivorech yo mi'atav yad olam, hallelujah.
Please rise as you're able, page 432 in the middle.
Yikadav yikadash shemei rabba, v'yomod yivrak rute v'yamlich malchute, v'chai chon v'yomei chon, v'chai dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agolav izman koriv yimru, amen. Yeheshmei Rabba Barak Leolam Omei Omaya Yit Barak V'yish Tavak V'yifbar V'yirman V'yitnasei V'yitadar V'yitalev V'yitalau Shemei Dekudasha B'richu Le'ela Michal Birchata V'shirata Tushbigata V'nechamata Da Miram B'yoma V'yimru Amen.
Are we beginning it out loud? Do a full, we begin it out loud together? Yeah. Just silent.
I do it out loud.
Out loud, right. So page 433, we're going to begin together out loud. Please note all the additions for the days between leading up to Yom Kippur, which is still true.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasodim Tovim v'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chaste Avot Umevigo El Livnei V'Nehem Laman Shemo B'Yahava. Zakranu l'chaim melech hafetz b'achayim v'chadvenu b'sefer hachayim l'mancha Elohim chayim. Melech ozer Mashiach u'mogen baruch atah Adonai mogen Avraham. Atah gibur li'olam Adonai mechayim etim atah rav l'hoshia. Mechachel chayim b'chesed mechayim etim b'rachamim rabim. So make no flim v'rofei cholim umatir asurim. Umakaye emunuto l'shenei ofor, Michamocha ba'al gevurot umidom melach, melech meimit umachaya umatzmiach Yeshua. Michamocha av harachamim zocher yitzirav l'chaim berachamim. V'nemon ato l'chachayot meitim baruch atah Adonai mechaye ha-meitim.
Middle of 434, the Kedusha.
Nikadesh Shemka ba'olam, kashem shemakdishim oto b'shmei moram, kakatuv al yad neviecha v'kora zel zevi amar. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sebaot, Malok ha'oretz kavodo, Yomotom Baruch Yomeru. Baruch kavod Adonai Mimko Mod, Vrei Kachaka Katuv Lemor. Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Sion l'dor v'dor, Hallelujah, l'dor v'dor nagid gad lecha, Ulanate sak nesachim, Kedusha kata nakdish, V'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush li'olam va'ed, Ki el melech gadol v'kadosh ata, Baruch atah Adonai ha-melech ha-kadosh.
Silent Amidah continues, page 435.
Sing the Sefer Chaim.
Oh, you can sing that.
All right, cool. Okay. And then after that, you'll pick it up at Kadisha. Then. Great.
If you know you concluded your personal Amidah, please feel free to continue at your own pace. We turn to page 438, 4 lines down towards the top of the page. Let's sing together. Sefer Chaim b'racha v'shalom u'parnasa
Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabba. V'yamod divra kirute v'yamlich malchute. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayet chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agalav izman korev v'yamru amen. Yehi shmei rabba marach li'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudashah. Le'ela michol birchata v'shirata tushurata v'nechamata da'miram b'yom ma v'yamru amen. Tikabel sloton v'hon dechol Yisrael kadam avuhom divishemaya v'yamru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yamru amen.
Aleinu 442.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol Lotet kedula liotzer breshit shelo asanu kagaye haratzot velo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkenu kohem v'gor aleinu kachol hamonam v'anachnu korim mishtachavim u'modim Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. V'nemar v'hoya Adonai melech al kol ha'oretz Vayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
Mourners Kaddish, all those in mourning and observing the yard set invited to remain standing, otherwise we may be seated.
See the Morse code?
Yeah, I can do it. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah Belma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kari v'yamaru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lameil maya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudashah b'richu le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'yimaru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'miromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen.
Okay. May be seated. Should I do a welcome message now? Or should I do something in between? Because I think after that you have just the procession. Let me do it now.
the procession. We're just taking the tour out.
Right, no, I know, but let me do it
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, right. This is the spot you want to be.
We talked about it. It seems like the microphone there is still not great.
It is.
Yeah. Shana Tova. So it seems like the other microphone, though I hope it's pretty good in here, it seems like for the live stream they can't hear it very well. So Michael's going to speak here a little later. Obviously, Ken or Braun will be davening from here, and whenever I speak, I'll come over to this side. I did also want to say one thing before I offer a welcome message. It's a little sort of complicated right now in COVID. Some people are really concerned, other people less so. So I know some people are wearing masks, others are not. It's a little complicated for us as clergy, like shake, fist bump. It's all very complicated. So I just want to make sure people feel comfortable doing whatever you like. If I reach out my hand, but you'd rather not, just do the fist bump. I'm not offended or anything.
absolutely understand. I always like to say, shake responsibly. Make sure that you're, just taking care of your others. So you might see me put on hand sanitizer if I walk around and shake hands. It's not you, it's me. So with that, I want to say again, Shana Tova, and also Shalom Aleichem, which means greetings to you all. But in truth, what I really want to say is Shalom Alecha or Shalom Alayich, greetings to each and every one of you as individuals. You see, I want to welcome you here tonight, not just as a group, not just as a congregation, people coming together just as so many other Jews are doing all around the globe this very evening. No, I want to welcome you here, each person. In many ways, Yom Kippur is really the holiday of the individual. I know that seems a little counterintuitive, especially when there are usually more people in services on Yom Kippur than really at any other service throughout the year, but ultimately it is quite a private holiday. It isn't about getting dressed up in costume or hearing the public Megillah reading, as we do on Purim. It isn't about coming together with family for a big celebratory meal. And I was going to say Passover for that one, but that really applies to every Jewish holiday and most American holidays as well. It isn't about putting a menorah in your window to publicize a miracle, as we do on Hanukkah, or building an impermanent hut in your yard or your terrace, as we'll do next week on Sukkot, or even celebrating an event that concerns every living thing on earth, the birth of our planet, as we did just last week on Rosh Hashanah. Yom Kippur is about fasting, which you could, hypothetically speaking, easily break in the privacy of your own home or your bedroom, and no one would know. So for each of the 25 hours of this fast, it's entirely on you to decide whether to keep it or not. The holiday is also about repenting for sins, which you might argue is in fact done with other people, especially when you say, "I'm sorry," to someone else. But even then, it is ultimately for you in your heart to really decide if you're being sincere. Only you know whether you've forgiven someone else or repented, or earnestly made a genuine effort to change your behavior. The full week that has just ended, leading up to Yom Kippur, was really the more public period of forgiveness, apologizing to the people in our lives and about making good. In Hebrew we say ben adam lachavero, between one person and another. Now that you're here, now that you've come to Kol Nidre, you've moved away from the communal to the personal, to the realm of ben adam lamakom, making amends between you and God. Tonight and tomorrow, throughout all of Yom Kippur, it's a day of private introspection, of engaging in conversation with yourself about where you are right now, right here today, emotionally, spiritually, of looking back at the path behind you in life and also examining the path you will be walking in the year ahead. And that is why I want to welcome you here as individuals. Each person brings different challenges, different issues. Each of us will leave having either engaged with ourselves, really worked on making something change, or will have chosen to defer a little bit longer, or a lot longer. Throughout these Yom Kippur services, we will each choose how much or how little of ourselves we bring to this space, to the sanctuary. I say that not to add pressure or guilt to the holiday, but rather to actually lower the bar and the expectations. Because we don't have to put on airs, we don't have to dress a certain way, sing better or worse than we usually do, or try to be anything other than we truly are. On Yom Kippur, we bring only this. We bring the simplicity and the humility of just ourselves, who we are, and we bring the beauty and the triumphant totality of ourselves, of who we are. Today is about being open and honest and fully present to your own experience. We take a minute to check in with ourselves. Where are you emotionally tonight? The key is intentionality or mindfulness. So much of the time, I think we allow ourselves to just float along, not checking in or identifying where we are or how we're feeling. I want to share with you briefly something I read recently and which I've thought about a great deal. In the foreword to a book by Jan Chosen Bays on mindful eating, John Kabat-Zinn, who writes the foreword, writes about how mindfulness is all about paying attention. Quote, "When we start to pay attention in an intentional and non-judgmental way, we are tapping into very deep natural resources of strength, creativity, balance, and yes, wisdom. Nothing has to change. We don't have to be any different or better. We don't have to lose weight. We don't have to fix any imbalances or strive for any ideals. All we have to do is pay attention to aspects of our lives." End quote. Find that time tonight or tomorrow to be mindful to your own experience. Remember that it doesn't have to be about changing. Yes, I know we've spoken about and will speak about making change, and eventually we may want to focus some of our attention on that as well, but right now, in this moment, as we're about to start the holiday, I want you to use the opportunity to see Yom Kippur as a holiday about you, about your relationship with yourself, with others, and possibly with God. I pray that each of us will take full advantage of this treasure of a moment. I pray that we leave this holiday with a more mindful and present relationship with our unique and precious selves. And I pray for each of us, for each of you who consider yourselves vocalists or non-singers, prayer veterans and prayer skeptics, brave front row dwellers and inconspicuous back row dwellers, for us all, not just Shalom Aleichem, peace upon the community, but Shalom Alecha, Shalom Aleich, peace, mindfulness, and wholeness for every unique and special person who is here this evening. Shana Tova. We're going to turn back to page 204. We invite everyone to please rise as you're able as the ark is open. See that this opening part of the service, page 204, has some parts that are repeated over and over again. There's 7 lines in the middle for Oros Arua, which we won't be doing so much tonight, but there's 3, the lines, Rishiva Shemala, the bottom paragraph is recited 3 times, and then all of Kol Nidre on the next page is also recited 3 times. Because in Judaism, a court is made up of 3 judges. And so we imagine the divine presence, and we take out the Torah scroll to represent that presence as we stand before this court of judgment, beginning the holiday of the Day of Atonement and the Day of Judgment. So the reason things are repeated, especially now at the beginning of the Yom Kippur holiday, beginning of Kol Nidre, is to kind of reflect or to create that sense of 3 judges of presence of Cantor and Rabbi and the Torah scroll representing the court that we're standing before on this Kol Nidre evening. Page 204.
Bishiva shel mala uvishiva shel mata al dad hamakom ve'al dad hakahal anu matirin להתפלל עם העבריינים בישיבה של מעלה ובישיבה של מטה על דר המקום ועל דר הקהל אנו מתירים להתפלל עם העבריינים.
By the authority of the court on high, by the authority of this court below, with divine consent and with the consent of this congregation, we grant permission to pray with those who have transgressed. Page 205, Holy Bread.
Kol nidrei v'yasarei v'charamei v'kinumei v'chinuyei v'kinusei u'shavuot adin darna udayishtabana udayacharimna v'diyasana nafshatana dindana udayishtevana udayacharimna udayacharimna v'diyasana al nafshatana miyom kippurim zeh ad yom kippurim haba aleinu letova kulhon icharatna v'hon kol hon yehon sharan yehon sharan yehon sharan shavitin v'telin mevutalin la sharirin v'la kayamin nidrana la nidrei v'yasarana la esarei u'shavuatana la shavuot
יסרי וחרמי וקונמי וכינויי וכינוסי ושבועות דין דנה ודאישתבנה ודאחרימנה ודיאסנה על נפשתנה יום כיפורים זה עד יום כיפורים הבא עלינו לטובה כולן יכרתנה בהון כולן יהון שרן שביתין בתהילין ומבוטלין לא שרירין ולא קיימין נדרנה לה נדרי ויסרנה לה אסרי ושבועתנה לשבועות כל נדרי ויסרי וחרמי וקונמי וכינויי וכינוסי ושבועות הדין דרנה ודאישתבנה ודאחרימנה ותיאסרנה על נפשתנה דין דרנה ודאישתבנה ודאחרימנה ודיאסרנה על נפשתנה מיום כיפורים זה עד יום Kippurim. Haba aleinu letova. Kol hon icharatna vehon. Kol hon yehon sharan, yehon sharan, yehon sharan. Shavitin, B'teilin Mavutalin, La Sharirin, Vela Kayamin, Nidrana, La Nidrei, Ve'esarana, La Esarei, Ushevuatana, La Shavuot. V'nislach lechol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lager hagar betocham ki lechol am bishgaga V'nislach lechol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lager hagar betocham ki lechol am bishgaga V'nislach lechol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lager hagar betocham ki lechol ham bishgaga Selach na lavonam hazeh kegodel chasdecha v'chasher nasat alam hazeh mimitzrayim v'yadeina v'sham nemar Vayomer Adonai salachti kidvarecha Vayomer Adonai salachti kidvarecha Vayomer Adonai salachti kidvarecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Our scroll is returned to the ark.
job.
Maybe seated.
Take this off, I'm a little warm. Want to take one? I will, I will. Chazan Bruce Braun, Rabbi Jeremy Gerber, past presidents of our synagogue, members of our board, fellow congregants, family, and friends. On behalf of our co-president, Rick Altman, please allow me to address all of you here and on the YouTube live stream on this, the holiest of holy nights, Kol Nidre 5784. I'd like to formally welcome Rabbi Gerber to our Share Torah community for this year's High Holidays. Your presence and your thoughtful sermons are making this another great holiday season here at Share Torah. I look forward to getting to know you and hearing more of your insight into the Torah and the readings that accompany this holiday season, as well as your guidance through these important days on the Jewish calendar. I would also like to mention two other rabbis that have been a part of the last 133 years here at Share Torah Synagogue. One is Rabbi Avi Olitsky. He provided meaningful sermons remotely last year and continues to be a valuable connection to our congregation. The fact is, I reached out to Avi about a rabbi for our services this year. The very first name that he gave me was Jeremy. Thank you, Avi. We look forward to continuing this congregational friendship for many years to come. Rabbi Sheldon Switkin passed away on October 4th, 2022, almost a year ago. Rabbi Switkin spoke to all of us from this pulpit for many years. He was a spiritual resource and a true friend to all of us. He even officiated at my daughter's wedding on October 12th, 2019, almost 4 years ago. He offered reflective and politically timely sermons, oftentimes with Ohio State references sprinkled in. He also continued his consecutive years of reading Torah from the Bima, dating back almost 60 years. Even the multitude of rings he wore on almost every finger will solely be missed by our congregation. May Rabbi Switkin's memory be a blessing to all who had the opportunity to know him. We are here tonight on Kol Nidre 5784 with the same type of service that most of all you can remember from your childhood and years of services here at the synagogue. This has been a difficult road back, and we still have a long way to go. I stand here tonight asking you to please come back to services. Please come back to donor. Please come back to life cycle events, and please help Share Torah come back completely from the COVID pandemic. Come back at the pace that makes you feel most comfortable and safe. But make no doubt about it, we need you, so please come back to Share Torah. Earlier today, I attended a service at the Canton Hebrew Cemetery led by Chazan Braun. Besides the Chazan, there were exactly 5 people there. Chazan Braun performed the service and touched the heart of each of us that were in attendance, just as he would have touched the hearts of 50 or 500 people had they been there. Whether it's the nuances in the pronunciation of Torah readings, or the choreography of the Kol Nidre processional that we are witnessing as we sit here this evening, Chazan Braun leaves no detail to chance. In addition, his complete, thorough understanding of the needs of our congregation and our community at large after all these years are, and if you were here last year, and if you're on the live stream, these words did not change from last year. They're exactly the same. In my opinion, our cantor is unmatched by any Canton clergy, past or present, in meeting the needs of our congregation and our community. We are pleased to have you, Chazan, and I personally value you as my spiritual leader and friend. Thank you for your continued service. Additionally, a big thank you to Darrell Varnest and Patty Green, the wonderful donor committee, Steve Silver for blowing the shofar during the holidays, and David Sklar for his, and I'm not even sure if this is a phrase, but I made it up anyway, for his liturgical assistance. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know. Throughout the year, and all the others who make this home for our home for conservative Judaism. We're here because you pay your dues, and it'd be nice if you voluntarily increased your dues. I know everybody is not in a position to do that. If you can, that would be wonderful. But if you can pay your dues early this year, the synagogue, day in and day out, continues to have responsibility to pay our bills. In closing, my parents, Becky and Joe Zolden, Ruth and Bob Altman, all my children and my granddaughters, Sylvia and Jane, all wish you a sweet new year and wish good health to each of you and all of your family members, wherever they may be. Like I always say, you can never be too healthy, attend too many services, or give too much of your time to our Share Torah synagogue. Gemar Chatima Tova, may all of you be sealed in the book of life, and I'll see you in synagogue next year. Thank you.
Yes, God. Michael? Lovely state of the congregation address. We are going to turn now to page 207. Let everyone please rise as you are able to the Ma'ariv evening prayer service, beginning with the call to prayer. Page 207.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed.
May be seated.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד Baruch atah Adonai, Hamari v'Ravim. Ki heim chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negeh yomam v'layla ve'avatecha al tasir mimenu leolamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malachuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'avta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha. Ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta lehem ve'asu lahem tzitzit al kanfei vigdehem dorotam v'natnu al tzitzit hakanaf petil techelet. V'haya lachem letzitzit uritem oto u'zachartem et kol mitzvot Adonai v'asitem otam ve'lo taturu acharei levavechem v'acharei einechem asher atem zonim achareihem למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל הכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, norat hilot osei efelem, malechutecha rauvanecha, בוקי הים לפני משה, זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב ולגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גואל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Please rise as you're able, page 212, the second paragraph down, just those 2 lines from before, leading into the Chatzikah.
כי ביום הזה יכפר עליכם לטהר אתכם מכל חטאותיכם לפני אדוני תטהרו. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמה יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חון וביומי חון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תאמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן.
Silent Amidah begins page 213, continuing through page 221. Please remember to include the sections for Yom Kippur. After you've concluded your personal prayers, you may be seated. It is late at night, the middle of the night, in fact. Right now, I am not a rabbi, and I'm not standing here in Canton, Ohio at the Kol Nidre service. I am a security guard at a museum, working the graveyard shift. There is one other guard as well, an older gentleman who taught me the job. After the two of us have finished our rounds, we retire to two separate guard posts, just a few rooms away from one another. It's quiet. The only sound that can be heard is the backup battery of the emergency exit sign, the soft hum of the security monitors, and faintly in the distance, a radio program the other guard is listening to. Then suddenly,
Jeremy, Jeremy.
a voice, out of nowhere, says my name. My first name is Jeremy, by the way. I know a lot of you thought it was Rabbi. Obviously, it must be the other guard. Didn't really sound like him, though, but I get up, and I walk 2 rooms over, and I ask him, "So, what's up?" "I didn't call you," he says. "Go back to your post." Confused, I return. I check my iPhone to see if I received a call, or if I accidentally tuchus dialed somebody, or if I started playing a song. Nothing. The radio is off. I go back to watching the monitors, and then again.
Jeremy.
Clearly, my colleague is playing a prank. So I walk back again, feeling slightly annoyed. "Here I am, buddy. Real funny. What's going on?" He assures me it's not him, but I'm dubious, and we argue for a few minutes, and I return to my post, though walking a little bit slower this time, starting to feel a little chill up my spine. I feel a cold sweat building on my forehead. I sit back in my chair and pray for silence. Sure enough, I hear it yet again.
Jeremy.
I burst out of my chair this time. I'm insistent. It's got to be him. Partly because I, at this point, have no other explanation, and partly because I'm starting to feel frightened about what else might be going on. Am I losing my mind? I run back to the other guard a 3rd time. "Here I am, okay? Quit playing around." Again, we argue. In the end, my exasperated colleague says, "Hey, if you hear it again, why don't you try answering the voice directly, huh? See what it says and quit bugging me." He chuckles to himself, and this time I walk back very, very slowly, very bewildered. I ease my way back into my chair. It creaks, and I can feel myself really starting to sweat now. I'm nervous, and I'm bracing myself for that sound that I do not want to hear.
Jeremy! Jeremy!
With great trepidation and with foreboding, I respond, "Here I am, Hineni." This story, and thank you very much to Canterbury, with a few modern upgrades, is the story of the great prophet Samuel. It was he who anointed the first king of Israel, Saul, and who eventually, at God's command, also took the throne away from him. He then anointed King David to take his place, and a descendant of David's remained on the throne throughout the period of ancient Israel. To this day, the line of David is still considered the royal bloodline of Israel. And if indeed a Messiah is one day going to come to earth to redeem us all, our tradition tells us that that Messiah will also be descended from King David. And it was Samuel who first declared David king. He was an honest-to-goodness kingmaker. When Samuel first heard God call to him in this modified scene that I described for you, demonstrated, he was just a boy. But I shared with you this little theatrical piece because I wanted each of us, every person in this room tonight, to imagine what it might have felt like for Samuel to receive that call. I offered you this modern setting, sure, with modern characters, and again, thank you to Cantor Braun for indulging me and helping me with this theatrical piece. But now I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, if this was you, could you respond with Hineni, here I am? In today's society, we often talk about not feeling the efficacy of prayer. Many people feel that prayer doesn't, quote, work, whatever a prayer working is really supposed to look like. And I also hear people ask, why don't we hear God's voice anymore? Why don't we see miracles or really any signs of God's existence? Honestly, I think that if we did hear God's voice speaking to us, actually calling us by name, it would be terrifying. What would it imply? Would our lives ever be able to return to normal after that? What would come next? And perhaps most intimidatingly, is there any way that we could refuse whatever God was about to say next? Because you see, the job of a prophet is hard, really hard. It was certainly no walk in the park. Consider, if you will, the prophet Jeremiah, who was ill-fated with the task of chastising the people of Judah for their wrongdoings, and everyone hated him. Kings, priests, regular Judahites alike. He lived just before and through the destruction of the first temple in Jerusalem by the Babylonian Empire in 586 BCE. His urging the people to change and to repent failed miserably. And truly, his was a very miserable existence. The people mocked him. The priests undermined him. The rulers imprisoned him. And he was unable to avert the disaster that he knew was coming. So you might say, why didn't he just stop? Why not stop prophesying? No one's listening to the message anyway. Well, chapter 20, verse 9 of the book of Jeremiah explains why not. It is, in my opinion, one of the most chilling verses of the entire Bible. When Jeremiah cries out, quote, I thought, I will not mention God. No more will I speak in God's name. But it was like a raging fire in my heart, shut up in my bones. I could not hold it in. I was helpless. Jeremiah had no choice. When he tried not to speak the words of Adonai that were flowing through him, it seared his body, like fire burning him from the inside. He was doomed to live this life and say things to people that they absolutely, definitively did not want to hear. And he and they suffered for it. What if God showed up one day and gave you a task, wanted you to rebuke the Pharaoh of the day, maybe Elon Musk or Vladimir Putin, or even an American president or a former president? Or worse still, what if God told you to turn to your own family, to your friends, to your neighbors, and start preaching to them about doomsday and the sinful lives they were all leading? How terrifying to even imagine, just for a moment, having to give up our jobs and our everyday lives to do such a thing. It may sound unthinkable to us, but it's also true that there are people who do this. And I'm not talking about people with severe mental health issues or religious zealots who are claiming to hear voices in their heads. I'm also not referring to just these ancient examples, like Samuel or the other three biblical figures who also heard God with that urgent call, the same way that Samuel heard it. The last of the 4 times, it was doubled the name, Samuel, Samuel, but also Abraham, Abraham, Jacob, Jacob, Moses, Moses. They all responded, Hineni, here I am. But I'm not talking about them alone. Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., people like that felt it as well, that fire shut up in their bones, demanding that they speak up against injustice, even at personal risk, and often at tremendous sacrifice. And yes, many of the most famous examples set out with religious agendas, speaking of God, of biblical morals, but you actually don't need that. Let us for a moment take that out of the picture. Let's remove God briefly, which I know is funny to say even here on Kol Nidre night, in synagogue, on the holiest night of the year, but let's take God out of the picture. I don't think I'm being presumptuous when I say that many people in this room either don't believe in God or you're not sure what you believe. And believe it or not, literally, that's okay. So let's set that aside, seriously. We can still feel that fire in our bones, in our souls, if there is such a thing as the soul. Don't be distracted by this question of whether there is or is not a God. Focus instead on whether you can believe in any cause with the kind of passion that we're talking about. Do you need God for you to care about children dying because of terrible gun laws? Do you need God for you to know that COVID was a horrible virus that needed and may still need all of us to make changes and sacrifices to stop it from doing even more damage? Do you need God to tell you to care for the poor, the orphans, the nationless, or people in decimated places today like in Morocco or Libya, Haiti or Ukraine, or others? On Rosh Hashanah, I talked to you about Hineni being directional. It's relational. Hineni is always said to someone. But that someone doesn't have to be God, the way it was for our ancestors. We talked about saying Hineni to ourselves and to others around us, but we can also say Hineni to the very notion of feeling a sense of calling, of feeling passionate and committed to something that you believe in. The real enemy here is apathy and cynicism and jaded indifference. When we're sitting in that metaphorical guard booth at the museum and we hear someone call out our name, it's definitely so much easier to imagine that it's candid camera, it's a prank, or absolutely anything other than a voice calling us to devote ourselves to something, to make the most of our lives, to be a force for good in the world. Because that's scary. It's scary to care. But what if there is a voice calling to you? What if that voice is inside you? Conscience, morality, whatever it may be. But it is calling you. And you, all of us, are perhaps just too scared, too worried about what that will demand of us, too concerned about what we might have to give up to listen. But please, listen. What is the message of Kol Nidre? The lights feel a little dimmer. The holy energy of this service is almost palpable. The haunting melody of Kol Nidre has been sung beautifully, and we're all bracing ourselves to feel the full impact of the fast, which hasn't maybe really set in just yet since we recently ate, but we know it's coming. We've set the stage. We've created the mood, the atmosphere. But now you have to choose to hear the message, the lesson of the day. I believe that message is to believe in something, to care, to want to make yourself a little bit better, and thus to make the world just a little bit better. Rabbi Dov Peretz Elkins, in his book Moments of Transcendence, Inspirational Readings for Yom Kippur, quotes Eugene O'Neill as saying, quote, "Each of us is capable of an unimaginable greatness. Each of us is a treasure house of vital potential. Yet apprehensive love and inhibited talent pervade the expression of our being. Past failure and present fear restrict the range of our feelings and the purview of our thinking. While these days of meditation awaken us to the truth of what we are, they must also quicken within us the reality of what we can be." End quote. Past failure, present fear, these things are enemies of activism and empathy, along with the apathy and the cynicism that I mentioned before. We don't believe we can change, and it's scary to imagine any real change. But the message, the truth of Yom Kippur is that we do have that unimagined greatness in us if we're willing to hear it calling out to us, begging us for just one honest, heartfelt Hineni. Even the great prophet Samuel, after whom 2 books of the Bible are named, and as I said, who was a kingmaker of the first degree, Even he needed to hear God's voice 4 times, as I showed you tonight, just as the museum guard did, before he could accept that maybe it was, in fact, God. All the great leaders in the world, in our communities, and in our own personal heroes, they have all had moments, even entire periods of their lives, of doubt, of self-criticism. They wavered from their path, and they wondered if it was all even worth it. It's okay to be unsure, to be filled with trepidation. It's hard to get ourselves to a place of being ready to say, Hineni. But tonight's a pretty good place to start. Use the opportunity of this evening, and perhaps also of the entire day tomorrow, into the last service at dusk at Ne'ilah, when the curtain of the ark will be open, and you are invited to come up and stand before it to offer a personal prayer. Use this time to think about, to consider, to meditate perhaps on this word, Hineni. How are you here? And how are you not here? You don't need God in order to get something out of Yom Kippur, but you do need you. Bring yourself fully to this experience, to the fasting, to the praying, the beating of our chests, and yes, to standing in front of an open ark at Ne'ilah time. And it will lead you to new Hineni opportunities beyond this holiday, beyond the synagogue, and beyond even Judaism. You will open yourself up to new possibilities in life, to unimagined greatness, vital potential, as well as to greater harmony within yourself and with others around you. So don't wait. Don't make that voice call to you 4 times before you respond. Listen to it today, divine or not, external or internal, and begin this new year with a resounding Hineni. Shana Tova. We are going to continue our service now, page 223, Ya'aleh.
The ark is open.
Ark is open. Please rise as the ark is open.
Yaleta chanuneinu me'erev ve'yavo shavateinu miboker ve'yavo shavateinu miboker ve'yira'er inuneinu Ya'aleinu yeinu me'erev Ya'aleinu leinu me'erev Ve'yavo slichateinu miboker Ve'yira'en akateinu Ya'ale yisheinu me'erev yisheinu me'erev ve'yavo toreinu miboker ve'yira'ech hinuneinu ararev Ya'ale dafkeinu me'erev ve'yavo gileinu miboker ve'yira'eh bakashateinu ararev.
Page 223 still on the left-hand side. Let's read response May our supplications rise up at evening, our pleas arrive with the dawn, our songs transform the dusk.
May our voices rise up at evening, our righteous acts arrive with the dawn, our prayers transform the dusk.
May our sufferings rise up at evening, our forgiveness arrive with the dawn, our purity transform the dusk.
May our prayers rise up at evening, coming to you the dawn, transforming our dusk.
The ark is closed. You may be seated. We turn to 224, where again we will read responsively the selections from the book of Job. I will begin. You can do the indented parts. We know there is a place where gold is found, and somewhere there is silver for refining. The deep declares, it is not in me. The ocean echoes, neither is it here. The wisdom, where can it be found? Where is the place of true knowledge? While peering to the ends of the earth, inspecting everything under the heavens. God saw it and appraised it, examined it and plumbed it. And then God said to human beings, page 225 at the top, Nishamalach.
Neshamalach v'haguf shalach Adonai yaseh leman shamecha atan wal shimcha Adonai yaseh leman shamecha bavur kevod shimcha kilchanun verachum shemecha leman shimcha Adonai v'salachta lavoneinu ki ravahu.
Continue 226. Go to the middle of the page by the red arrow, the Ta'avor al-Kesher.
Ta'avor al-Pesha v'timche asham keyom vayityatzei v'imo tazin shavateinu v'takshivmenu ma'amar keyom vayikra v'shem Adonai.
Rise as you're able for the 13 attributes of God, which is transliterated in the middle of the page, 226 on the left.
Vayavor Adonai al panav vayikra Adonai, Adonai el rachum v'chanun erech apayim v'rav chesed v'emet notzer chesed l'alafim nose avon v'apesha v'chata v'nakei v'salachta avoneinu l'chatateinu u'nechaltanu Selach lanu avinu ki chatanu mechalanu malkeinu ki fashanu ki ata Adonai tov v'salach v'rav chesed lechol kol
paragraph, then we'll do reading the middle of the page, and Ron will pick it up the bottom of the page.
כי הנה כך אומר ביער היוצר, ביער היוצר, ברצותו מרחיב וברצותו מקצר, וברצותו מקצר. כן אנחנו ביערך חסד נוצר, לברית הבית, ואל תפן ליצר.
So on page 227, again on the left-hand side, I'll recite each of these paragraphs and invite you to join me for the recall your covenant line at the end of each paragraph. And notice these different metaphors. A lot of the Yom Kippur liturgy tries to evoke and bring forward this relationship with God. Sometimes there's a closeness and sometimes there's a separation. It goes back and forth, which is intentional. Sometimes we feel a tremendous closeness, other times we feel so far removed. So think about the images in this one, very tangible images of God in relationship with us as different craftsmen holding and forging and forming different materials. So I'll begin. As clay in the hand of the potter, who thickens or thins it at will, so are we in your hand, guardian of love. As stone in the hand of the mason, who preserves or breaks it at will, so are we in your hand, God of life and death. As iron in the hand of the blacksmith, who forges or withdraws it at will, so are we in your hand, support of the poor. As the helm in the hand of the sailor, who holds the course or abandons it at will, so are we in your hand, God, good and forgiving God. As glass in the hand of the glazier, who shapes or melts it at will, so are we in your hand, pardoner of sin and transgression. As cloth in the hand of the draper, who drapes or twists it at will, so are we in your hand, righteous God. As silver in the hand of the smelter, who alloys or refines it at will, so are we in your hand, healer of wounds.
כי הנה ככסף ביער הצורף, ביער הצורף, ברצותו משגשג וברצותו מצרף, וברצותו מצרף. כן אנחנו ביערך, ממציל מזור טרף, לברית הבית, ואל תפן ליצר.
Page 229.
מלך יושב על כיסא רחמים, אלוהי לנו לומר 13 זכור לנו היום ברית 13 כהודעת עליו מקדם וכן כתוב וירד אדוני בענן ויתייצב עמו שם ויקרא בשם אדוני ויעבור על אדוני על פניו ויקרא אדוני אדוני רחום וחנון ערך אפיים רב חסד ואמת נוצר חסד אלפים נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקי וסלחת לעווננו ולחטאתנו נחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, מחלנו מלכנו כי פשענו, כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח ורב חסד לכל קוראיך.
Page 232. I'll read the 13 attributes at the top on the left-hand side in the margin. The liturgy for Yom Kippur is filled with the image of God's mercy and love overcoming harsh judgment. The rabbis taught that human behavior should imitate God. Our admission of our inadequacy to stand up to absolute standards of judgment and our expectation of God's forgiveness teach us about the kindness we need in approaching others. And then we can read together the 13 attributes in the English. It's right across from that reading. It begins Adonai, Adonai. The two lines together, we'll read those 4 lines in English. Adonai, Adonai, God, merciful and compassionate, patient, abounding in love and faithfulness, assuring love for thousands of generations, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin, and granting pardon. We turn to page 233. We rise again as the ark is opened. The second paragraph is Shema Kolenu. So there are 4 verses here. There are 5 lines, but the first of the 4 verses is 2 lines long. So Ken Ron is going to chant each of the 4 lines, and we'll repeat it after him for each line. Towards the top of 233, transliterated in red on the left-hand side.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus v'rachem וקבל ברחמים, ברחמים וברצון, וקבל ברחמים וברצון, את תפילתנו, את תפילתנו.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu, Chos v'rachim aleinu, v'kabel rachamim u'ratzon, et tefilatenu.
Hashivenu Adonai Eilecha, Eilecha v'nashuva. Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu, Yameinu kekedem.
Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh Yameinu kekedem.
Al tashlichenu, al tashlichenu milfanecha, al tashlichenu milfanecha, beruach, beruach kodshecha, al tikach mimenu תשליכנו לעת זקנה, אל תשליכנו, אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה. אל תשליכנו, אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה, יכלות כוחנו, יכלות כוחנו. אל תעזבנו.
אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה, יכלות כוחנו, אל תעזבנו. Do not abandon us, Adonai our God. Do not distance yourself from us. Give us a signal of hope so that our enemies will understand and hesitate, knowing you have been our help and comfort. Hear our words, Adonai, and consider our innermost thoughts. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable to you, Adonai, our rock and redeemer. It is for you we wait. Surely you will respond, Adonai, our God.
כי לך אדוני אוכלנו, אתה תענה אדוני אלוהינו.
Ark is closed, you may be seated. Page 234.
אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו, כי אנו עמך ואתה אלוהינו, אנו בניך ואתה אבינו, אנו עבדיך ואתה אדוננו, אנו קהלך ואתה חלקנו, אנו נחלתך ואתה גורלנו, אנו צונך ואתה רוענו, אנו חרמך ואתה נוטרנו, אנו פעולתך ואתה יוצרנו, אנו רעייתך ואתה דודנו, אנו סגולתך ואתה קרובנו, אנו עמך ואתה מלכנו, אנו ממירך ואתה ממירנו. אנו הזפנים ואתה רחום וחנון, אנו קשי עורף ואתה ערך אפיים, אנו מלאי עוון ואתה מלוא רחמים, אנו ימינו כצל עובר ואתה הוא שנותיך לא יתמו. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, תבוא לפניך תפילתנו, אל תתעלם מבחינתנו, שאין אנחנו הזפנים וקשי עורף לומר לפניך. אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו, אבל אנחנו ואבותינו חטאנו.
Our God and God of our ancestors, hear our prayer. Do not ignore our plea. Our God and God of our ancestors, we are neither so insolent nor so obstinate as to claim in your presence that we are righteous, without sin. For we, like our ancestors who came before us, have sinned. I invite everyone to please rise as we're able, page 235. We will repeat each word after Kenner Braun. And we invite you to, if you'd like to strike your chest gently, we got a lot of these to do over the course of the holiday. Top of page 235 for each of the words of the Asham.
Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi, Havinu, Vahirshanu, Zadnu, Hamasnu, Tafalnu Sheker, Yatsnura, Kizavnu, Latsnu, Maradnu, Niatsnu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Tsararnu, Kishinu Oref, Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu. Sarnu mimitzvotecha, mimishpatecha tovim, velo shavalanu, ata tzadik kol abaleinu, ki ata emet vanachnu hirshanu.
Remain standing, bottom of 236 for the paragraph by the letter Hey.
אתה יודע רזי עולם ותעלומות סתרי כל חי, אתה חופש כל חדרי ותן ובוחן כליות ולב, אין דבר נעלם ממך ואין נסתר מנגד עיניך, ובכן ירצום לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, שתסלח לנו על כל חטאותינו ותמחה לנו על כל עוונותינו ותכפר לנו על כל פשעינו.
We are going to continue top of page 237 with the section called the Al-Khait. Again, there's an opportunity to strike your chest a little bit each time for all of this list of sins. We are going to do just one paragraph at each service. So this first paragraph this evening, second paragraph tomorrow morning, third paragraph for tomorrow's middle of the day service, and so on. So we're going to begin silently, and for the last two lines, after Canberra has sung them, we will read them together in the English, which is just the last two lines. It begins, we have sinned against you, the impulse to evil. See that line? We're going to do those two together after Canberra chants the last two lines. So page 237, begin silently with the Al-Khait.
الخير شخطנו לפניך מאונס ורצון, الخير שחטאנו לפניך ממוץ עלי, الخير שחטאנו לפניך מבלידנו. الخير שחטאנו לפניך ביצר הרע, ועל החטא שחטאנו לפניך ביודעים ובלא יודעים.
Together, we have sinned against you through pursuing the impulse to evil, and we have sinned against you wittingly and unwittingly.
ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו כפר לנו.
Mashkin. So we're going to begin this first paragraph silently after the ark is opened, and then for that middle paragraph, we're going to recite each of those 8 lines after Cantor Braun in the English, so you can see them. Actually, no, let's do it in the Hebrew because you have the transliteration. So for each of the lines, we're just going to repeat it after Cantor Braun in the Hebrew. The 8 lines in the middle, then we again continue silently to the last 2 lines, which we'll sing together on the next page.
Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha Avinu Malkeinu Elanu Melgalat Avinu Malkeinu Azimah Zman Shemecha Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova Avinu Malkeinu Avinu Malkeinu Zachar Malkeinu Avinu Malkeinu Mecheva Avim Shoinu Avinu Malkeinu Hachasireinu B'tshuva Shleima Lefanecha
Avinu Malkeinu Hachasireinu B'tshuva Shleima Lefanecha
Avinu Malkeinu Shlach Refua Shleima Lecholei Amecha Avinu Malkeinu Zochreinu B'zikron Tov Lefanecha Avinu Malkeinu Kotaveinu B'sefer Chayim Tovim Avinu Malkeinu Kotaveinu B'sefer Geula V'Yeshua Avinu Malkeinu Kotaveinu B'sefer Parnasa V'Chalkala Avinu Malkeinu Kotaveinu B'sefer Zechuyot Avinu Malkeinu Kotaveinu B'sefer Salicha Umchila Avinu Malkeinu Atzmach Lanu Sheyeshua B'karov Avinu Malkeinu Harein K'nei Yisrael Lecha Harein K'nei Yishuecha
Bolded lines towards the top of 244, transliterated and read on the left-hand side.
Avinu Malkeinu Choneinu Vaneinu Avinu Malkeinu Choneinu Vaneinu Ki ein banu masim Asei manu Asei manu Asei manu Tzedaka v'chesed ve'oshienu Asei manu Asei manu Asei manu Tzedaka v'chesed ve'oshienu.
Ark is closed. We continue with Kadisha Lane 245 in the middle.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ועלמד יברח חירותי ולמלך מלכותי בחיי חון ובימי חון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה בזמן קריב יאמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר וירומם ויתנשא וירא וירא שמי לקודשה ויחו לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושורתה תושבחנה ורחמתה רבנן בעלמה וימלאו אמן. תתגבל צלעות הון ובארון לכל ישראל קודם אבון ושמיה וימלאו אמן. יש למה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימלאו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו והוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן אמן. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל עמונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Be seated. Page 248. We continue with the Psalm for the season of repentance, Psalm 27.
דוד, אדוני אורי וישי מאירה, רמי וסחיה ממייבך, דקרוב עלי מרעים אלי כל בשרי, הורייני אדוני דרכך ונחי באורך משול למען שוררי אל תתנני בנפש צרייך יקמו בי ידי שקר ופיח חמס לולי האמנתי לראות בטוב אדוני בארץ חיים קווי אל אדוני חזק ויאמץ ליבך וקווי אל אדוני.
Page 247, mourners Kaddish, all those in mourning and observing the yard site are invited to rise once again. Otherwise, we can be seated. Page 247.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמה דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חון וביומי חון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל ועגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעמל מיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. And I like, remember I'm going to say a couple words. Okay. I'd like to say a couple of thoughts about Rabbi Switkin. Today, or last night, started the first yard site, and I believe that Linda
and their 3 daughters, Abby, Lisa, and Marnie, are watching us on live stream. And the unveiling was today. I saw some pictures. I just wanted to take a moment to just have a few thoughts I'd like to share. And as all of you do, we miss his presence, especially at this time of year. For 9 years, he and Linda came to Canton so Rabbi Switkin could co-officiate the High Holy Day services. Of course, the Switkins were here with us for many other Shabbat services as well, but the High Holy Days were unique. One of the reasons they were special was that Rabbi Switkin relieved me from the need to prepare to chant the morning Torah readings for both days of Rosh Hashanah as well as for Yom Kippur. And I don't want to contradict what Michael said, but Rabbi Switkin started chanting those Torah readings right after his bar mitzvah. He did it for 72 consecutive years, right through 2021. And he did it flawlessly. He wanted to do it. He enjoyed doing it. And it was a real treasure for him. He really felt really good when he did it. Another set of memories I have of Rabbi Switkin was his use of props during his sermons, especially during the high holidays. There were books, cards, and mementos, often items that were personal to him. He used them as a way to help us remember the importance of a lesson from the parasha, or perhaps it was connected to a current event that was impacting the Jewish people. Given his second profession as a social worker, Rabbi Switkin had a wealth of experiences dealing with the life challenges many people confront in their lives. He encouraged us to make realistic changes in our lives as we begin the new year. May we continue to reflect on the lessons he shared with us, and when we think of him, may we remember how he treated each of us at Shari Torah with acceptance, respect, and kindness. Amen.
Before we conclude the service, page 250 with Migdal, we have congregational announcements.
Wish to thank Chazan Braun and Rabbi Jeremy Gerber for leading today's Kol Nidre service. It's been a pleasure having Rabbi Gerber here for the high holidays. Yom Kippur services will continue with Mincha. First sentence was the same. Yom Kippur service continues tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mincha and Yizkor services begin at 5:30. Nila is at 7 p.m. The shofar will be sounded a few minutes before 8 p.m. I'd also like to mention this year's community donor program. Mark your calendars for Saturday night, November 11th. That evening's program will feature an encore performance by the Pop-Tarts, who were here in 2019. They will perform top hit favorites from the 60s we all love and remember. Watch your mail for full information and details. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. So again, we're going to conclude the service, page 250. You see at the bottom that it gives you an option for your High Holy Day greeting, L'Shana Tova Techatenu. We also say Gemar Chatima Tova. May the end of your, maybe by the end of this day, may be written in the book of life, may be inscribed well. We also say Tzom Kal, which is have an easy fast. So you can pick really any of those. And I always like to say also, good yontif is like a good catch-all. You can always say good yontif. It counts all the time.
Yes.
But one of those options is fine with a Shana Tova. Page 250, we conclude with Yigdal.
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח, נמצא וינית אל מציאותו, אחד ואין יחיד כייחודו, נעלה וגם אין סוף לאחדותו. ein lo demut haguf v'eino guf lo naroch elav kedushato kadmo lechol davar asher nivra rishon v'ein reishit l'reishito Hino Adon Olam v'chol notzar Yoreh gedulato u'malchuto Shefa nevuato netano El anshei segulato v'tifarto Lo kam Yisrael k'Moshe od Navi umabit et emunato Torah et natan le'amo el al yad navio neman beito Lo yachal Yifa'el velo yamir dato Leolamim lezulato Tzofe v'yodeya setareinu Mabit lesof davar bekadmato Gomei leish chesed kamifalo Notei lerashara karishato Yishlach leketz yamin Mashiachenu Liftot mechakei ketz Yeshuato Meitim Yechayel Berov chasto Baruch Hadeyad Shein Tahilato Meitim Yechayel Berov chasto Baruch Hadeyad Shein Tahilato
Tova. Thank you for the nice.
Oh, I'm telling you. It is honored to be here with you. It really is.
I was happy to be
I
here.
was literally thinking about that today when we were at the cemetery, about it didn't matter how many people were there. You know, you still
Well,
made
you
it so
know,
impactful.
why should I not do for a crew the same way we do for a
Right, exactly.
they came, it's not their fault. That no one.
It's true.
Okay. Good, good.
Oh, is that right? Oh, lovely. So my parents are both American. We lived in Stockholm. They moved there in 74. They arrived in 74 and they were there. Dad is still there. He's retired, but he's still there. Officiates. So you were born there? Family brought over in 4? My brother was in Galvin. Have you been?
I never know. Doesn't matter. That's acceptable. So, you're right, you're not here. I know Jimmy Mary Donna will be here. They may not. So, just in case. Here. Yes, it's always nice to watch you.
You're right about the birthday.
Based on the German reform, it's really conservative. It's affiliated, yeah, the very big synagogue. Yeah, that's my thought. That sounds about right. It's a bit of a standoffish community. That doesn't surprise me at all. That, unfortunately, doesn't surprise me. The Swedes are not. I grew up in Stockholm. Where you were coldly received was Malmö or Stockholm?
Because they knew my family.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the Swedes are not the warmest welcoming people.
I have a wonderful rabbi in Malmö.
Yeah. I'll see you next about. Oh, hey. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, we worked out pretty well. Absolutely. Good to be here. Take care. Not to buy. Yes. Be here. Yeah, exactly. Are you going to Buddhist?
I go to Buddhist, but tomorrow I'm not going to go into Youngstown. I'll be here for no, I'll be here